Hey everybody, here's the new Orc and Goblin Arachnarok gigantic war machine spider. I'm going to show you some of the sprues first of all, and then I'm going to show you the assembly process. So here's the first sprue. There's two sprues about the size of the large size sprue that GW makes, and all the spider parts are on one sprue and all the goblin parts on the other. So we've got the main parts of the body, some of the carapace pieces here, and then legs. Some of them are all in one big piece, and others are in multiple little pieces. And so we'll look at that in a second. Here's the other side. So you can see this is all going to be hollow, and this goes on here. Anyways, nothing too much to see there. A bunch of little spiders here and there. Okay, here's the goblin sprue. If you count all the goblins, there are 9 bodies, one of them being the goblin spider shaman. That's only used if you use this as a lords and heroes choice, and he gets the spider shrine as well. Otherwise, you have the choice of making it just a regular Howdah, which has this piece, and where is it? Oh, this piece right here. These two pieces go together and go in the center with a goblin on top. Otherwise, you can do it with a flinger, which is this piece here. It's got some spider stuff there. It's kind of like a catapult. It's got a skull there, which is supposed to be a giant skull with a rock inside it. And there's a goblin that is putting a big ball of spiderweb on top, which is this piece here, I think. Okay, and then you have all the Howdah pieces that go around. There's the other side. You also may have noticed in some of the pictures that there's this trunk here. The spider's going to fit onto that nicely, and that'll be part of the base. The only other thing in the box is the large base, which is 100 by 150 millimeter, and you have the instruction booklet as well. So looking a little bit closer, here's a couple little bases for little platforms on the Howdah. Some of these side twig pieces with some shields and other details. See another one there. All the goblin heads that just go on the pegs here. Unlike the savage orcs, they don't have the tongues or anything like that. They're just regular. This is that spider ball. You can see the hands are already part of that, and the head. There's an alternative piece that you can use for that if you're not using the flinger. It's just another piece, the head and hands. You can see some of this here is a bigger spider that's for the flinger. There's a piece of web that goes in the back there, and that's what's holding the flinger back. Looking at the other corner of this, just some more heads. Bodies here. Okay, here's the spider shrine that would be used with the shaman. Pretty cool detail there. I'm not going to end up using that in the build that I'm doing, so it's going to be a spare bit in my bits box. Probably end up using it as with the Howdah piece here. I'm probably going to use that in a unit filler, maybe for spider riders or something like that. Not sure. This is the underside of the platform, and you can see there's a body all wrapped up in spider web. It's skeletonized, and some neat details like that all around. This is the front of the Howdah. The other side of the ring, that's still the underside. And there's that body without the hands and head. That's going to go with the one guy feeding the flinger. Another body wrapped in spiderweb. That's for the centerpiece of the Howdah that I'm not going to be using. And all these spiders, I think there's 8 of those extra spiders, a couple different sizes. This is the shaman's staff, or whatever. A couple of these pieces here that extend some of the wood bits. There's the other one there. And all the pieces are numbered. That's something GW has been doing recently, which is kind of nice. A couple goblins wrapped up in here on the trunk. And that's one of the pegs that the spider legs is going to fit into. There's only really one way to assemble it all, which you'll see in a bit. And they fit into these pegs here, which are located on the base. Looking a little closer here at the legs, so this is one of the back legs. You can tell because it has that locator pin on it. That's going to make sure that that fits into the tree trunk properly. There's the other side there, so that's the right and left, not sure which one's which. These here are the center legs that have the skulls on the bottom. Those are located on the base as well, and you notice that there's a square peg on there, which means it can't be moved around. So these 4 legs are fixed, and there's no options for locating them differently unless you were to modify something. Some of the other legs have the centerpiece here, which allows a bit of rotation on either end. They're not legs that touch the ground, so that's why you can do that. And here's the eyes on the spider. Some of the other leg pieces, so that's the mirror image. That's the other one with the skulls there. Here's the front leg, so it goes into the spider here, and there's a bit of ball joint there, and I'm not sure if this is the other one. Here's some mandibles. Here's some of the body of the big spider. So you see this is where the legs go in. The back leg goes here and locates against that. These 2 legs have square pins on them, and the front one has a notch there. And you can see that these smooth parts and the square bits are all for locating the carapace. This piece here goes on the inside of that. That's one of the front legs. Really nice detail here. Some spiders crawling out of the holes, almost like a Tyranid Turvagon. Little hormigants crawling out, but spiders. You can see them more there, kind of coming out of all the little bubbly bits. Okay, so now I'm going to start assembling. This is stage 1, so it's the 2 sides of the carapace and piece in there. You can see that it's kind of goes right in there. There's 2 pieces, and it all goes together quite nicely. There's the seam, so that's actually 2 pieces in here. So that's 4 pieces of what you're seeing put together, stage 1. Stage 2, I've added these horns on, this piece of carapace, which is 1 piece, and a center piece of carapace, and then 2 more, 1 on either side. They all go together quite nicely. There's going to be a seam up along here. I didn't really end up filling it much. It's kind of noticeable, and there's a seam along the back there. You can see that better here. So there's a seam right along there and right there that you might want to fill. Otherwise, everything goes together without any noticeable seams. And there you can see the stingers. Those are 2 separate pieces, so there's lots of nice detail there. They didn't have to worry about the mold lines or the angles. Now I'm moving on to the front, so there's a piece going on here and on the other side as well. You can see there's a bit of a mouth there that's already molded in. The other side, a little joint there but not noticeable. Putting these big mandibles on, they just fit in there nicely. There's no pegs or anything, but it kind of locates itself in there. You can see it coming together. And then the head, there's a bit of a joint there that should have been filled, but I didn't. And but otherwise it goes together very nicely. Some of these things, there's a little bit of play, so you kind of got to do the whole stage all at one go. You don't want to be letting one thing dry before you put the rest on. So a little bit of a gap there, but otherwise good. I'm just trying to scrape out some of the mold lines here. Overall, there's very few mold lines on this kit, and it goes together really well, but just a little bit of scraping you do with the edge of the X-Acto knife blade. A little bit of gap there, but I'm not going to see that later. And here's the spider laid out. So I glued these in just to make sure everything would be flat, but really you didn't need to do that. I kind of realized that after I glued those. These ones have a peg on the front of it, so it locates itself, and that these 2 joints here are they can move around a little bit, so you can give a little bit of movement or a little bit of variation if you have more than one of these. And same with these legs here. These 4 legs don't touch the ground. These ones here go into the stump, and these ones sit on top of the base with those skulls. And despite what the Games Workshop heavy metal painted one looks like, they actually do fit on the base. They don't stick out over it like theirs all seem to have done. I'm not sure exactly why theirs did that, but mine didn't do that. And here's just dry fitting it onto that the stump. So there's little holes there. Everything fits in nice. A little bit of squeezing to get it perfect, but there's no issue that you have to worry about there. Working on the Howdah now. This is just dry fit on here. I'm going to glue this after I paint it. But I was actually surprised at how well everything fit, really nicely, and not going to be a problem to glue all together. What I ended up doing is once I was done painting, I just put a little bit of super glue on each one of these after dry fitting it. But I made sure it fit right, put some super glue, and then just pressed it all on in one go, and it worked nicely. You can see there's the way these all join up here, all even on the angles. The skull here has a little bit of a cutout so that it fits around that horn. Really nicely goes together. Here's the rest of the flinger and the back piece here. So there's a spider with a piece of web that kind of attached to the flinger, and then the flinger is all one piece, and it just sits inside this front part here. This back piece, this is the same piece that would go up here if you had a shaman. So those are not magnetizing isn't really an option with this kit, which is unfortunate. The other option is to use the Howdah without the flinger, and that would just go in the center here. So you could possibly magnetize the flinger and swap it out with just the regular Howdah, but the parts needed for the shaman are common. So these ones here, you add these top pieces on, and that's where the spider shrine would go, but down here. And I think there's a pieces or something down there that you wouldn't require. And there's another angle of the same thing. Nice little skulls hanging on here. Lots of nice details. This spider, I wasn't thrilled with how well it sat there. It doesn't really locate on anything. You just kind of glue it wherever you can. And this is only supported by that, so it's a little springy. I can see that breaking in the future, but not a big deal to glue back together, I guess. Actually, I had the same issue right here. There's just a small piece of contact, and as I was painting it, it came apart, so I had to glue it back together after I finished painting it. Just another look at that spider. I ended up gluing these two guys on. I was debating whether or not I wanted to glue all the rest of the goblins. Turned out okay with painting it. This guy, just a bit of plastic glue. My pen has, oh, there we go, plastic glue there. He's going to be dropping that on there, and then there's the guy cutting the spider web there. I just glued him on there. That's what the shaman looks like all put together. He's on a piece of wood that fits nicely into one of those platforms, but you could very easily get rid of that and put him on the gigantic spider, the metal kit, or another spider, or just on a regular base and use him as a goblin shaman, which is what I'll probably do. He has some spider details on him. It's kind of neat. There's the spider shrine. Kind of similar to the gigantic spider metal kit. Same idea, I guess, but nicer because it's plastic. There's the back. That's the alternate head for the goblin that's holding the big ball of web, and so the hands are incorporated into that. Here's what the goblins look like with their heads put on. Lots of really nice detail, very fine, very minimal mold lines, two pieces, all separate heads, and paint up very nicely. I really like the eyes there. They have a nice groove around them, so getting the eyeballs easier. Things like that just make it a bit easier to paint. Lots of character in these guys. This is the sender for the Howdah without the flinger. Again, I'll probably use this as a unit filler or some sort of scenic detail. But nice Nice way that goes together, and of course it's all angled so it would fit nicely on top of the spider if you were to do that. There's the extra spiders, so I just glued these all over the base after I was done, just painted them black, a little bit of gray dry brushing. And there's the whole kit ready to get painted. So this top part here I didn't glue on, just to, what I'm going to do is paint the whole spider as one go, glue the legs on, and then take care of the goblins and the Howdah and glue them on, very last thing. Just a little bit of close-up on the legs before we finish here. So that one there I glued in, but these ones here have like a diamond peg on it. They're different from either side, so you're not going to mix those up. And this one here is just like a ball socket and then one locator pin just to make sure that you get the back leg in the right position. And the front leg, again, just a round thing with a locator spot here. Because I'm going to be putting that on after I paint it, there's going to be a bit of a gap, but you won't notice that really unless you look for it. And there, as you can see, this leg will go. So that pin there is going to go in there, and this goes in that hole. And there's that gap there. So there will be a bit of a gap. Won't be a perfect fit, but be close. I marked these with my X-Acto knife. I didn't need to do that because there's only one way they'll go in, but I wasn't quite sure when I did it. And there you can see that goes in there. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back shortly with more Orcs and Goblins.